Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb DeLoach. He is Cody Hinkebine. And it's been a little while since we've done I guess you could say, kind of live in the moment, what's going on lately type of episode here, Cody. We dealt with some sickness, me personally, just no voice whatsoever for like a week and a half. And then we had the interview with Coach Brownsberger, which was a lot of fun. So it's been a good stretch here, but I'm excited to kind of get caught back up with what's going on here in the area.
Yeah, into full swing of spring sports. Basketball is completely wrapped up. We'll go through a lot of that. Thank you to Coach Brownsberger for coming on and doing that interview. Hopefully you guys got to see that.
Yeah, I hope you guys like it. Something we want to do more of in the future and talk to coaches and people like that, other people involved in sports here in Southeast Missouri. So a lot of good reception from what I've seen, so appreciate it. And we'll do more of that in the future. And even with Coach Brownsberger, hope to talk to him again as well. And like Cody mentioned, we are into spring sports. We kind of feel like we were in a little bit of a pause from spring sports. Or in the wintertime, we hit a bunch of sick kids and snow. Now we're just having a tornado every week, so had a little bit of a delay here in some of the sports this past week. But they've got going. Most of the sports are a couple months in, or a month in already. Got a few games in. And I think we're going to start by officially, totally, completely wrapping up the postseason, all the awards, stuff like that for basketball. The last time we talked about basketball, we hadn't gotten into we not finished the Class 4 through 6 playoffs yet and all that. We hadn't got the postseason awards. So, Cody, you can go ahead and start off there with what we got here to kind of wrap up these big classes here in the state.
Yeah, we start with Class 4 on the boys' side. Vashon beat Benton for the state championship. Logan Rogersville beat Potosi, third place game.
Vashon just murdering people again this year, doing what they do.
A 20-something point victory in the championship, and kind of knew that was going to happen, as we did with a lot of the classes. But yeah, Webster Groves, kind of the big name in our area that a lot of the teams around here had faced. Jackson had them. They defeat Summit Christian Academy for the state title in Class 5. Westminster beat Parkview for third place in Class 5. So, again, some of the teams.
Good game, yeah. I mean, Webster Groves, like you said, we've seen them here. They played Jackson. They beat Sykeston in the state playoffs, and they're going to bring back their two best players. So, probably going to be seeing a lot of Webster Groves in the Final Four, I think, the next couple of years.
Class 6, Oak Park beat Chaminade for the state championship, and then Nixa beat Lafayette for third place. So.
And that was Oak Park's first state title in school history. They're up in Kansas City, and they're coached, random fun fact here, coached by Sharon Collins, former Kansas point guard. So a little bit of fun there.
Flip it over to the girls' side real quick. In Class 4, Doniphan beat Benton. So
yeah, out to Doniphan.
A lot of the similar names, but Doniphan up there. Great state championship once again for them.
Yeah, they got a state title. They had a great season last year. I know they felt like there was unfinished business. They were undefeated in the playoffs, got knocked out by Notre Dame, and finished the deal. So shout out to Coach Epps and everybody there over at Doniphan. That's another team that a lot of local schools have played, and they're not too far from here. So the most local representative we have in Class 4 through 6.
Third place, Logan Rogersville beat MICDS. Flip it over to Class 5. Live for Life beat St. Teresa's Academy for the state title, and then Fort Zumwalt South beat Helias for third place.
Yeah. Class 5, not a lot of local representation. There's not many schools in Class 5 around here, but yeah, pretty solid group there.
And then
Class 6, another inevitable kind of deal like Vashon and boys basketball and Incarnate Word. I don't know. They're going to win every state title ever until they are not playing Misha basketball anymore. We'll see if that ever happens. But yeah, they are just a absolute force to be reckoned with, and they're going to keep being that way. So, and then we got into, so that kind of wraps up the games, the last of the games, and I think all of the actual awards and honors and stuff like that have finished up for the postseason. All SEMO conference teams, you start at the lowest level there. On the boys' side, here in Cape County, you had Cole Deck from Jackson, Brett Dohan, Colton Johnson, both from Notre Dame, and then Mateo Rivers from Cape made the all-conference team alongside Brendan Durden from Poplar Bluff, PJ Farmer from Sykeston, Marquay Mills also from Cape. I just completely glossed over that. And then Trayshawn Shandon from Charleston, John Sepulvedo from Dexter, Dyson Watson from Kennett, Tristan Wiggins from Sykeston. An honorable mention, you had Ramon Brooks from New Madrid, Goliath Morris Young from Cape Central, Deshaun Henderson from Charleston, Dallas Williams from Poplar Bluff, LaCarrion McCray from Sykeston, and Trey Sadler from Sykeston. So, a lot of kids from Sykeston, obviously. They were crazy, went undefeated. And then Coach of the Year in the SEMO Conference was Coach Hollifield, as Sykeston did go undefeated and won every game by a pretty hefty margin also. Player of the Year was PJ Farmer from Sykeston. No real debate for me. He's the best overall player by far in the area. Does everything for that team and led them a long way. The leading scorer, points per game wise, in SEMO Conference for boys was Cole Deck from Jackson. Finished up his senior year, 25 points a game. Awesome season. And they also give out best free throw shooter, which I kind of appreciate, appreciating the guys who can knock down free throws. That was Colton Johnson. Not a surprise there either. Another great shooter. Broke a lot of records shooting threes over at Notre Dame, and then shot really well from the free throw line this year. Then over on the girls' side, Cody, you got the girls pulled up over there?
Yep. So as we go down through their list, kind of in our area, Cameron Allsdorf from Jackson, Kate Deck from Jackson. Over on Cape, it was Abby Davenport. Excuse me. Notre Dame had Eliza Barnett. Kennett, Alice Edwards, Ireland Goen from Poplar Bluff, Landry Hammondtree, Sykeston, Kate Nichols, Dexter, Tamaya Word from New Madrid County Central. And then honorable mention for them, Jamie Dawson from Cape. From Jackson, it was Addison Henderson. Notre Dame, you have Skylar Kraft, Mia Panton. Sykeston, you have Marley Crook and Kennedy Sims. And then Dexter, Marina Minley.
Yeah.
And then, their coach of the year, Angela Fulton. Jackson, well-deserved. Player of the year, Alice Edwards. Kennett. And then she was also the leading scorer, 30 points a game.
Monster.
Yeah, best free throw shooter, Kate Deck. Jackson, 87%. So, very well-deserving there.
Yeah, and then I think the one thing that's interesting looking at it, on the boys' side, there's going to be a lot of new next season for sure. Just looking at the list, almost everybody's a senior. I think there's 4 non-seniors on the entire all-conference on the actual team and honorable mention combined. They'll be coming back next year. But then you flip over to the girls' side, and it's kind of the opposite. You got 10 girls on the all-conference team and all in the honorable mention that'll be coming back next season. So expecting some pretty good girls basketball next season. There'll be a lot of young girls that have played really well this season. They're going to be stepping up. And there's going to be a lot of new faces over on the boys' side. Going to be a lot of guys in bigger roles, not just at, Jackson, who's losing a lot, Notre Dame, we talked about losing a ton, but across the entire conference, everybody's going to be losing a lot of guys. So there'll be a lot of new faces. It'll be interesting once basketball season does roll around to kind of see who does step up in those spots. We also got, once again, there's going to be a lot of reading these kids off here on the basketball side. All district teams in... There's going to be less of these to do, obviously. But on the boys' side in Class 4, Brett Dohan was all-district, and alongside Colton Johnson, who was actually the player of the year from Notre Dame, even though Notre Dame did get beat in the district title in the tournament there against Dexter. And then coach of the year was Jeremy Brinkmeyer. So congrats to Coach Brinkmeyer. Congrats to Colton Johnson, Brett Dohan, ending their careers all-district. And then you can say the same in Class 5. From here, you had Marquay Mills and Mateo Rivers, both from Cape Central, getting all district. Over on the girls' side in Class 5, Jamie Dawson-Ide was all district, and she will be back next season, I believe. And so a good season for Cape girls. They pulled off a big upset in districts as well, and so they'll be back playing well again next year, I believe. And then in Class 6 on the boys' side, for Jackson, Cole Deck was the player of the year in the district, Class 6, District 1, so good honor for him. It's another, honor as he was the leading scorer in the SEMO Conference. He was probably, I think, the leading scorer in the entire district as well. Over on the girls' side, a little bit more representation from the area. From Jackson, you got Kate Deck and Cameron Allsdorf. And then from Notre Dame, you have Eliza Barnett, Skylar Kraft, and Mia Panton. were all district. And then Angela Fulton was also the coach of the year in the district there as well. And then that does it for district teams. All state teams, I wrote down actually just everybody from the area that did make it. As you know, it's kind of a big deal. Even across Southeast Missouri, there's a lot of good basketball, but it's still tough to get recognized across the entire state, playing in schools that have 40, 50, 60, 70 kids. So over on the boys' side, in Class 1 from Richland, he had Gary Tilley. Had a great year down at Richland, led them to another good season, another district title. Class 2, you had a few kids. You had Javante Payne from Hayti and a couple of Puxico players, and they made a Final Four run, Landon Burchard and Jet Hancock. In Class 3, pretty diverse group here, and you had several schools represented. Javante Alexander from Crothersville, a guy we saw play against Jackson. Noah Johnson from East Prairie. Kobe Watson from Scott City. And Corbin Kinder and Lane Lee, both from Woodland. So Scott City Woodland kids also, Cody, a couple guys we saw around here quite a bit. In Class 5, you had one guy from Southeast Missouri is P.J. Farmer from Sykeston. As we mentioned, he was the Conference Player of the Year, continuing his honors, and he'll be playing at SEMO next season, so shout out to P.J. And then in Class 6, the lone representative was Cole Deck once again. So congrats to Cole. And I was mentioning now, he also, we mentioned it with Coach Brownsberger, but he committed to Columbia College, so that's where he'll be at next season. So a great ending for his career, being all-state now 2 times, all-district, district player of the year, leading scorer in the SEMO conference. So congrats to Cole on his way out, graduating after this season. And over on the girls' side, Class 1, you had Jade Berry from Delta, who was the Class 1 player of the year, another person who just had an incredible career. She's been starting all 4 years at Delta. I think she's over 2,000 points in her career, and just phenomenal player. In Class 2, you had Parker Ernst from Neelyville, and you had the Rubel twins, Bree and Kate from St. Vincent. They made a Final Four run as well. Janiah Smith from Portageville was a Class 3 All-State. In Class 4, you had a couple of Doniphan girls as they won the state title there. Carson Haygood, who was the Player of the Year, and then Ellie White as well. Both of them will be back next year as well. So Doniphan going to be dangerous again. And then Lisa Edwards from Kennett, we said was a 30-point per game scorer in the SEMO Conference All-State again this year. And then Coach Epps from Doniphan was the Coach of the Year, winning state title there. And in Class 6, it was Cameron Alsdorf from Jackson, the lone representative there. So congrats to Cameron. Another player going out, senior year, finished very strong. So, all right. And just about does it for basketball. Cody, got any other thoughts closing out the basketball, everything there?
Been a great year. Congrats to all the players making all district, all state, all conference. That's a big deal, and that's why we wanted to put it on the show. And congrats to all of them.
Yeah. So that is the end of basketball. Like I said, we might talk to more basketball people in the future here, just kind of talking about this past season, maybe talk about next season, things like that over the next couple months. But we are now able to kind of turn the page to spring sports. An interesting time always playing spring sports. You never know, a lot of weather related issues, a lot of outdoor sports, so a lot of rain this time of year. There's always like a day that snows in March, it feels like, so it always messes things up. So when you got baseball playing, track and field, soccer, you're outside a lot, so the conditions can sometimes be difficult. But yeah, a lot of teams have been playing pretty well. We're going to be able to just kind of talk about the teams in the area here that are playing well, just kind of what we've missed so far to this point after about, like I said, about a month now into the season, maybe a little bit less than that. Some teams have really gotten into the season. We'll start on the baseball side. Kind of the, class of Southeast Missouri. Jackson, obviously the biggest school in Southeast Missouri. You always have high expectations for them. They have, usually a roster full of guys. It's going to be playing at the next level. This year's no exception. They have a few commits. I know the Rhodes kids going to Evansville, the Kite Boys going to Bradley. There's others up and down the lineup. They're going to be playing at the next level, different, all kinds of, higher, lower levels of college baseball. And they're a very talented team. And they started out, you might look at the record and be like, they're 4-3 right now. But you look at the losses they have, all 3 losses are to state-ranked teams. They're 4-3, like I said. They beat DeSoto, Sykeston, Dexter, and they beat McCracken County most recently. And McCracken County, no slouch. They are the 7th-ranked team in the state of Kentucky. So a good win there. And the 3 losses, like I mentioned, to state-ranked teams, they lost to Festus. To start the year, they played a doubleheader up at Festus. They beat DeSoto and then lost to Festus in the second half, the doubleheader. And then now I guess it's about 2 weekends ago, they played Triad, dropped a game to Triad, who's state-ranked over in Illinois. And then Vianney, they lost a heartbreaker. It was a 1-run game. Definitely a winnable game, but they do lose there to Vianney, who's another super, super talented team year in and year out. They got guys on this year's team, I think, going to be playing in the SEC, so very, very good team. Kind of the opposite side of the coin, though. Look over at Cape Central. They are 0-6 currently. You can just kind of say things just not going their way so far this season. There's a decent amount of some turnover there, new coaching staff. Lost some to graduation. There is good individual talent over there, but haven't been able to come up with a victory yet. They lost a doubleheader. They lost both games to Sykeston at Sykeston, 11-7 to start the year. They're a team that have played, pretty good opponents as well. They lost at Farmington. They played a doubleheader at Kirkwood, dropped both of those games, and they lost to North County at home. They have I would say a manageable upcoming schedule. They do have Jackson here on the 15th of April, which will be a tough game for sure. That'll be a good one. I would definitely say to get out. It's always fun to kind of watch the Cape Jackson rivalry game in every sport, football, basketball, baseball. Those kids they've seen each other their entire life. So definitely go check that out, the 15th of April. It will be at Cape Central. Yeah, besides that, the Tigers do have, like I said, winnable games. Park Hill Central, Seckman all at home. And then they do play in a Wood Bat showcase. They'll be playing Kelly and Hillsboro. So definitely some winnable games in the future for the Tigers, trying to get that first victory of the season. Also in Cape, Notre Dame, a decent start as well to the season. They're 4-3-1. They did tie in the opening weekend of the season. They they ran out of time, I think is how that kind of worked. In that game, they tied West County. And they're another team, once again, that their losses are to good teams. They lost to North Point, big school in St. Louis, Union, who's a very solid baseball school, and then Portageville, who, is one of those teams that's always very competitive, always in the run for state championships, stuff like that, and lower classifications as well. And then, they've beat solid teams as well. Cody, you have their schedule pulled up over there. Who they knocked off so far?
Yeah, some pretty good wins for them. They obviously, like you said, beat Lafayette twice. They beat Kingston and North County, so 4-3-1 to start. To be determined on the weather, but obviously we're here on April 6th. They're supposed to play Dexter tomorrow, Jackson on the 8th, Farmington on the 11th, so a few games for them this week.
Yeah, busy upcoming schedule for Notre Dame. And, yeah, it'd be interesting. Good games. Dexter's a solid team. They really took it to Jackson in their meetings. So Dexter's looking good. Jackson, obviously good. Farmington's tough. So, yeah, good schedule upcoming for Notre Dame. A lot of home games as well. So definitely go check them out. And then the other team here in Cape County, over in Fruitland, Saxony's 3-4. They've knocked off Fredericktown, Crystal City, and Leopold. And then they have played some very, very good small schools in the area. They lost to Scott City, who's undefeated. They lost to East Prairie, who's undefeated. They also lost to St. Pius X and Meadow Heights. So a tough schedule for Saxony, but doing pretty well. They're managing it decently well, I would say. Like I said, 3-4 for the Crusaders over there. Solid, usually pretty consistently good baseball program over at Saxony, one of the better small schools we got around here. And then what are you looking at on the district over there? They're in the same district, Class 3 District 2, as those teams I mentioned, aren't they? Scott City, East Prairie.
Yeah. And coming up, you got St. Vincent, Charleston, Ellington, East Carter, so it doesn't get a lot easier for them.
Yeah, no, tough schedule for them. Baseball in this area, I will say, is pretty good. There's big schools are solid, and then the small schools is where it's very, very competitive. I'll say I will admit to being relatively ignorant when it comes to local baseball. I do watch some of it. I keep up with a lot of it. Check out all the scores and everything as much as possible. But baseball in this area is always very, very good. And it's a lot of guys you see a lot of in playing, basketball in these small schools, basketball, they play everything. East Prairie, Noah Johnson, who's a phenomenal basketball player for them, is going to be playing baseball at the next level as well. So you see a lot of that. Kobe Watson at Scott City is a very good baseball player, also a great basketball player. So you see a lot of that crossover in the smaller schools. And so it is pretty cool to see some of those names you're used to seeing.
As of this time, I think Orion is 3-0. Scott City 7-0. So you got some pretty good teams out there. East Prairie, you said, I think they're 5-0. So pretty good baseball going on. Yeah,
if you get the chance, baseball is always an easy sport to watch around here, in my opinion. Like I said, a lot of good teams. Once the weather gets kind of nice, it consistently warms up around here. Definitely go check out some baseball. There's going to be some good games going on in the area. I'm pretty excited to get out and watch a little bit more of it, that's for sure. And then speaking of, outdoor sports, we got girls soccer. Another one that's kind of gotten rolling here a month into the season. Mixed results for the area. Cape Central 0-3 right now. They've played, I'd say, a competitive schedule. The Tigers. I don't know. I don't know what to expect a lot of times. Sometimes Cape Central comes out and they have, which is kind of a duh thing to say, but it doesn't feel like there's always what to expect and like the way they're going to play and stuff like that. They do. This year they come in 0-3. Last year they were 13-6, but the year before they were 6-10. A few years ago they were winning district titles, winning 13, 18 games. So it's kind of an up and down time for the Tigers. It feels like. Starting 0-3, tough start to the season for them. They lost at Jackson, who, as I've said in baseball, the same thing in girls soccer, is the class of the area traditionally, and that's no different this year. They also lost at St. Vincent and lost a home game to Windsor. So we'll see about weather and stuff like that. Cape Central does have Perryville probably today when this comes out on Monday the 7th. They play at Kelly. And so it'll be an interesting coming few games for them. They're playing Murfreesboro, Illinois, Belleville East out of Illinois as well before they get into a lot more conference games coming up here. And, Cody, you got the Jackson girls schedule pulled up. I know they are 5-0 right now, and they're playing very, very good soccer at the moment.
Yeah, they're playing well. They did beat Central that you talked about, Kelly. Marquette 4-3, very close game there. Elias, Catholic 2-0. And then they won at Saxony. So pretty good start to the season for them. They have a couple winnable games coming up also. You got Lindbergh, Cape Notre Dame, just 1-2. Haven't played a whole lot on the season. And then Farmington. So then that's April 17th through the 19th there at the Kickapoo Classic.
Very tough. Yeah, very tough games over there. And that area is very good at soccer. So they'll be playing a tough schedule as the year goes on. Matching up against some of those teams and, a good first year under Coach Caleb Biesink for a long time. He's been Coach Mack. Coach Justin McMullen was the coach over at Jackson. For a long time. I'm trying to remember exactly. It's been 15 or so years. I think he was over there, maybe longer. Caleb Biesink, first year there, doing a great job. A lot of talent on the team. I know they've been playing without another, multi-sport athlete here. Cameron Alsdorf is the goalie for the soccer team. I'm not sure on the injury exactly, but I know they've been playing without her due to injury for a little while. But they've been obviously just chipping away, playing well here. Like I mentioned, super talented team, pretty big senior class as well. Maya Domian, multi-time All-State player, coming out very well here to start the season. Riley Monaghan's played well. The upperclassmen have done a good job leading, and then the Jackson program is just very solid in girls soccer. I mean, they just stack talent year after year after year and just keep stacking good season, and I don't have any reason to expect anything different. They've won, let's see here, bad radio, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight district titles in girls soccer. It's pretty much the expectation. I mean, they've the most, which kind of funny to look at, the most games they've lost in a decade is 6, and that was the year they went to the Final Four. So they are just a powerhouse in girls soccer. I enjoy watching them play. They usually are no offense to everybody around here. They're usually blowing everybody out in Southeast Missouri, with sometimes the exception of Notre Dame is always a competitive game. Jackson and Notre Dame girls playing each other. Kind of another situation where they see each other a lot, and you kind of get used to each other over the decades of playing against each other. But great start for the Jackson girls. Undefeated right now. A couple more manageable games before they do get into some pretty tough ones. The back half of the season, like Cody mentioned, Notre Dame girls, they're 1-2. Not a lot of games yet due to some of the weather. They lost at Parkway South. They lost in double overtime to Parkway Central, playing up there against the Parkway schools. And then here they played at Sykeston most recently, beat them 4-1. And their team I expect to be no worse than the second best team in the SEMO conference as far as Notre Dame goes. And then the big matchup on the 9th here coming up in a couple of days it'll be home. So it'll be home for Notre Dame. So they play in Jackson at Notre Dame. If you want to see a great girls soccer environment, I would definitely tell you to go out, check that one out. The Notre Dame kids, fans, that is, definitely show out for their girls soccer team. So if you want a good girls soccer environment, go check them out. And it should be a good one. It should be the best game going on in Southeast Missouri, I'd say, this year. So definitely go over there and check it out. Cody, you got any more? You got the Saxony girls pulled up over there?
Yeah, they've had a tough start to the season. They did beat Farmington and then lost at Carterville and lost at Jackson, but some closer games. They go at Sykeston and at St. Louis Christian this week.
Yeah, no home games for them for a little while. They do have 3 straight, April 16th and the 22nd and 24th, but no home games until then. So a little bit of a road stretch here. They will be playing in the Fralish Cup, which is also what I think Cape Central's playing in. So those teams will probably be seeing some of the same opponents here this next weekend. So, yeah, a good start in girls soccer. A lot of good athletes in the area in girls soccer. I know the girls travel scene's always very strong here in the area. And, there's a lot of talent. It's definitely a sport that maybe catered more to the talent here in Southeast Missouri. And it's been a good start to the season. Jackson, kind of who I expect to be the class of the area as they have been. But, yeah, it's been a good start to the season. I'm excited to kind of see where some of these teams end up. Saxony can be competitive against teams in their classification. Jackson, I expect to make a run maybe into state a little bit. So it'll definitely be something to keep an eye on. And then, kind of the last spring sport that I really kind of personally get into. I mentioned this a while back. My weirdest favorite sport is track and field. And obviously, I played basketball and I love football and everything, but I just really, really like watching track and field. There's something, it's simple in a way. It's the most basic, recess, I'm the fastest kid here type of mentality I kind of have there for that. But we have a competitive area in a lot of track and field events. There have been some pretty good local meets already. They started out, Notre Dame hosted an early meet where you got to see a lot of local kids. There was a kind of a SEMO Conference North invitational type thing or open meet that took place. And then I know Jackson and a couple other teams. I think Cape was there. I want to say Notre Dame was up there as well. They went up to Festus, and Festus hosts a very, very big, very competitive invitational up there every year. I think it's what McCullough Douglas, invitational up there. And it's a state championship level track meet. You've got teams from Kansas City that come, St. Louis, Columbia area. So super, super competitive. And, I wrote down a couple of the kids who have stood out to me. There have been a lot of people that have, won a lot of races around here and kind of the local meets. But there's just a couple of people that really stand out to me. And, I'm not going to lie, there's an element of bias to it. Obviously, I am a Jackson graduate. I did run track for Jackson. And Coach Gross is over there. He was my sprint coach specifically back in the day. So, I do have some bias, but if you ask who are the best runners in Southeast Missouri relative to their peers, number 1 and 2, in my opinion, by a mile, it's not close, are both at Jackson. And not only do they both go to Jackson, they both live in the same house. It is Blaine and Barrett Reagan, Cody. These kids have been insane. Blaine Reagan is just doing things every time he shows up on the track. That's blows my mind. It feels like he's just breaking records every time he shows up. I mean, he has been awesome. And then his older brother Barrett, has been the guy the last year or two. And then Blaine, it looks like he just stepped a little bit out ahead of him here, Cody. Kind of, there's no better, I think, training partners in Southeast Missouri than the Reagan family.
Yeah, you look at some of their numbers in the 100. Blaine's got him by 4/100th of a second. So you mentioned older, but Barrett a junior, Blaine a sophomore, so still got a ways to go.
I think Brock Reagan plays baseball, so the Reagan family, they're just out here faster than everybody, good at everything. Yeah, and I mean, like I said, you can say Barrett. I mean, he's run really, really well this year. They both, I want to say, they both ran the 400 up there at Festus and threw out great times. Barrett ran 48:35 in the 400, which, so like wrapping my mind around it. So when I was in high school, I ran with Brandon Wright. I didn't run with him. I ran behind him by a significant margin. And Brandon Wright was like the best at everything sprinting wise. Like he was the best 100-meter runner we had, 200, 400 runner we had. And it was, I would say, like if he would be hitting like 50 even. I know he broke under 50. He hit 49 once, and it was just like, this is insane. This kid's the fastest man alive. I know he ran 10.9 once, and that was incredible. And it's just like the Reagan brothers do that every time they walk out on the track. And Barrett, like I said, ran 48. He's been running in the 48s very consistently. It would not surprise me to see him get under 48 and get to 47. And Blaine and Barrett both ran the 200. They finished second and third behind a kid from Borgia who was just a monster in the 200. Barrett ran 22:42 in that. And then earlier in the season, he ran a 100. His fastest time in the 100 this season is 11.01. So he is right there. No reason to doubt that he can't break under 11, hit that 10.9 mark. That is kind of the, the bar, I'd say, at Jackson High School. If you can hit 10.9, you are going to be one of those kids that people always remember out on the track. And you've got the numbers over there for Blaine. I mean, he's taken Barrett's numbers and somehow made them just a little bit even faster, and it's pretty crazy so far.
Yeah, I mentioned he got him by 4/100s, 10.97 on the 100-meter, 22:20 on the 200-meter, and then 47.98.
47.98 is crazy.
400-meter.
And I mean, that's a school record. Basically, those two have been passing the school record back and forth. And now Blaine went under 47, and they did an interview with him up there at Festus, I saw. And he said his goal is 47 low. I mean, 47.98 is tough, and they were running in bad conditions. Like it was overcast, it had been raining, it was windy. So I mean, if he gets a perfect day, no rain on the track, anything. I mean, it helps obviously. I mean, he's probably gonna have Barrett out there with him. Like, helps having somebody to push you. 47, mid 47 is definitely attainable. 47 low would be very, very impressive. And I mean, if they're putting up these stats, I mean, I'm expecting Barrett and Blaine to be at the state meet, definitely in the 400, probably in the 200, maybe the 100. These guys are going to be very, very competitive, potentially winning every meet every race they step on the track for. And not to mention, they've teamed up for a couple of relay races. I mean, if you put them on the 4x1, the 4x2, the 4x4, they're going to be able to compete with anybody in the state. So, I mean, these kids are nuts. And Blaine, I mean, he's put up to number 5. The 47.98 in the 400 is the 5th fastest time of any sophomore in the state of Missouri, and in the nation, the 5th fastest in the country, and then the 42nd fastest, regardless of age, in the entire country. So, hitting 47 blew my mind. Like just how much I'm talking about it, rambling over here. It blew my mind. Like I was looking for the results. I was waiting for them to post from Festus, and they hadn't run the 400 yet this year, and they both did up there at Festus, and I was waiting for it, and I saw 47.9, and I was just like dumbfounded. It's like seeing a kid score. It's like seeing a kid score 40 in basketball. Like it was just like I'm watching something incredible, and those two are awesome. And then, maybe being overshadowed, we have one of the best performances of the year in any field eventer this year over at Cape Central. Kent Sheridan, I mean, he's been dominating the pole vault. Last season, he got bronze in the state meet, and I mean, I expect him to at least be able to repeat that this year. He'll definitely be there. Pole vault, kind of one of those things that there's a lot of variations. One little thing can go wrong and really screw you up, but he's been going he's been jumping incredibly well. He broke their school record this season, held by, I want to say, Matt Deischer. I want to say who's around my age as well. He's been jumping incredibly well. What's his? What was the mark he hit up there at Festus, Cody?
Yeah, 4.78 meters, 15 feet 8 inches.
Yeah, so 15 feet 8.25 inches. That broke the stadium record up there at Festus. Broke the meet record in Festus Invitational. He's having an incredible season pole vaulting. Definitely a fun event. I mean, around here, he's going to just be winning every meet if it's just local kids. But I expect them, and then you see this in track a lot. It's an individual sport, obviously, and so coaches and people will split up the teams a little bit at times. There's very competitive meets. You have the track schedule, Jackson's high school track schedule pulled up. So very, very competitive meets. Like they have the Kansas relays. It's not a thing you take every kid on the team to, so there'll be a handful of people to go up there. These big time meets like that, I expect to see the Reagans, a couple other kids, and then Kent Sheridan, people like that, to be going to these big meets where you're going to be pushing yourself. That's what it's all about in track, just kind of measuring where you are compared to all the other kids in the state. And it's pretty exciting. They did miss out on having the Jackson Invitational because of the weather. It's supposed to be this weekend that we're recording here. Yeah, you got that pulled up. They do have a lot of meets coming up. I will tell you, look, track meets are not for everybody to go watch. They are super long. They're usually hot because we get to that point when it gets hot and sunny, but it is a lot of fun, and there are definitely, I would say, a few kids to keep an eye on here in Southeast Missouri. And then, you got any other thoughts on anything, Cody, here, spring sport-wise? Anything going to be maybe looking out for, anything like that?
If you got anything on golf, isn't one that we normally keep up with each of the kids, but obviously there's some softball going on out there.
Some small school softballs going on.
Some tennis. If you got anything like that, let us know.
Tennis, yeah.
Talk about it.
Actually pretty good tennis being played. I know another multi-sport athlete, Tyson Ford, I saw was playing tennis over at Jackson. Tennis is a fun one to watch. It's very, the people on this court are very competitive. I assume if they're your child, it's very competitive and antagonizing for you to watch. Tennis is one of the easiest sports to just sit there and watch. There's action going across all the courts. You can just kind of pick and choose what you're watching. That's the best thing about spring sports, I think, in my opinion, is kind of the viewing experience is by far the easiest. It's usually outdoors, nice weather. So if you have a good day, obviously if you are playing, you're going to be there. If you're a parent, you're going to be there. But, if you're not personally invested like that, definitely get out and watch some, like I said, a lot of good baseball, soccer. There's a lot of good everything going on around here right now. And we're getting to the nice part of the year here, I think. We might actually get some good weather, get some of the rain behind us, and I'll be a lot happier to kind of see some of these. Are you going to be doing any baseball games yet with Ryan?
To be determined. We'll figure out what the schedules are, and not all of them are covered on the radio. So
yeah, and so I know, like I said, Ryan Winkler, he's a guy we talked about who did Cape games in basketball and football. He does a little bit of split duty on the baseball side. I'm sorry, baseball people, fans, parents. Your games start too early. So do have another job besides talking into a microphone as much as I wish this was just my only job. Makes it hard to get to a lot of the games. They start a lot of times at 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5. So it makes it kind of tough to get to be on the radio a lot of times consistently. But definitely check out Ryan when he does have the games. Look him up on Facebook, Ryan Winkler. He does post whenever he is going to be covering a game. He'll do Cape games, Jackson games, and then I think Rusty Hendricks also does Notre Dame games as well. So, yeah, check him out on the radio. Ryan is streaming the games also on YouTube. I know he's got a YouTube channel for the Cape games. It's Cape Central Sports. Jackson ones, I know he's opening. He has a Jackson channel now. he's going to be doing games on. So check that out. It's all on YouTube. And hit him up on Facebook, Ryan Winkler, if you got any questions about when he's going to be doing games. Tell him that we sent you, and he won't be as bothered by us. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, a lot of good sports coming up. I'm just rooting for better weather, Cody. How about you?
There we go.
Yeah. So it was, nice to kind of just catch up with what is actually happening around the area. Love talking to Coach Brownsberger this past week. It was a fun episode, long episode. If you haven't watched it yet, go check it out. It's on YouTube. It's on our Facebook channel. Just find us at Exit 99 Sports on any type of social media or any streaming app of any kind. We're everywhere you listen to podcasts as well. So if you've got a little bit of time in the car, you can listen to it. Hear what we had to say about this past Jackson season. It was fun. Good conversation with him. And like I said, we're kind of looking forward to maybe doing some more of that in the future with different people, talking basketball, football, baseball, anything. We're very open to talk. So if any of you have any suggestions, slide in the DMs, tell us who you want to talk to, or if you want to talk to us, let me know. And then, we'll get that rolling and, kind of get some of these spring sports started. So I'm pretty excited. We're closing out the school year, just a month and a half left or so of that. So, we're really kind of trailing off toward the end of high school sports years, Cody.
There you go. Look forward to it.
Yeah, so thank you guys for listening, watching. As always, subscribe to us on all the social channels. And we appreciate all you listening, watching, and have a good one. And we'll see you next time.